So with Space Marine 2 now getting its first gameplay, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of buzz around it, but there's also a lot of questions. And some of those questions are aimed at multiplayer, some of those are aimed at the DLC, the Collector's Edition, everything around the game at the moment. And I'm here to try and answer those questions because I have been giving a lot of information, I found a lot of information, and I'm bringing it to you chaps right now. So let's jump in and let's get talking. So we're going to start by talking about the multiplayer aspect of Space Marine 2. Now, in the background, the video that is playing is from the official Steam page for Space Marine 2. Now, what you normally find on Steam pages for games like this is a lot of information regarding the game, like computer specs, information about what the game is, but also on there, it has stuff like single player, multiplayer. Now, it doesn't have that on this page. We can probably put that down to that the game is still like far away from being released. It is coming out in 2023. It's probably going to be coming out the same time as 10th edition. That's my theory anyway. But one of the main things that are being asked now on that official Steam page in the community section, in the forum section, is this game going to have multiplayer? And I think we may have found something that hints that this game will indeed have a multiplayer aspect to it. Now, if you look in the background of the video again, a chap over on my Discord server called Contra, big shout out to him, sent me this image. Apparently, this is from the PlayStation Store. I can't confirm it at this time because I don't have a console. I only play PC, so I'm sorry about that. But the image that you're seeing in the background has a little bit more information with it. It says PS Plus required for online play, so it confirms that it will have online play. Supports up to 12 online players with PS Plus. Online play is optional. Now, there's one thing in there that really stands out for me is that it supports up to 12 players. I am hoping that that is just a bit of miscommunication. It's kind of not confirmed how many players are actually going to be able to take to the skies or to the ground or to fight each other online, because the original game, Space Marine 1, had 8 versus 8, so that was 16 altogether. I'm hoping that this game builds on the foundations that Space Marine 1 had in every aspect. The story, the visuals, the voice acting, the multiplayer scene, the customization in the multiplayer scene as well. I just want everything bigger and better because you've got the foundation of the game right there. This is why everyone loved it. Just add to that and make it bigger. So if I'm seeing like 12 players, that is really something that's coming down for me in this game. I want these big, epic, massive, huge battlefields. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be like Battlefield 3 or something like that, but bigger than what we had in Space Marine 1. I'm hoping, and this is just me, at least 32 players maximum in this lobby. So 16 versus 16. That's the basic thing I would love to see with Space Marine 2. Now, for me, I am 100% convinced that this game, of course, will have multiplayer. It'd be stupid for them to do a sequel to one of the best multiplayer games out there and not have multiplayer inside of it, right? It'd literally just be unthinkable for them to do that. Hopefully, we will see some more information about Exterminatus maybe being added to Space Marine 2 against Tyranids instead of Orcs this time, and more aspects of the multiplayer missions, the game modes, the customization, the maps, the play limits in future videos. I think what we're going to start seeing now from next year is a really, really big media blowout all about Space Marine 2, getting us hyped for that eventual release next year. Moving on to the next part of this video, I want to talk about the Collector's Edition and also another piece of information which seems to confirm that this game will have in-game purchasable content. So that looks like DLC skins, etc., etc. So let's just jump in and talk about that. So let's start with the in-game purchasable stuff. Now, in the background, I'm going to put the image there again so you can see it for yourself. I'll also include a link to the Xbox store where this is from. You can see now at the top of that page, it says mature 17+, intense violence, blood and gore, user interact in-game purchases. That is the main thing that stood out for me on that one. Now, this must mean that this game will have some type of DLC store where you can buy certain things. We've just had this in a new 40k game called Dark Tide, where players can go in and they can buy fancy looking skins that make their characters stand out on missions and, you know, in the player hub, all that type of stuff, etc, etc. Now, please excuse me if this comes across as a rant, because it is not a rant at all. I'm just being truthful in the way I see this type of content. Now, firstly, I've always supported cosmetic only in-game stores. If you want to spend your hard-earned money on putting a fancy bow or fancy shoulder pad on your character, I have no problem with that. The problem I do have is when it starts to become a power level type of thing. So you can buy a better gun, which performs better, a better grenade, which has more percentage of explosions, that does more damage. That type of stuff I will always say no to. Also, when it comes to cosmetics only, I think that when you buy this gear, it also should be achievable to get certain types of gear just like that, also by playing the game. The most beautiful thing about Space Marine 1 was the customization that we had in multiplayer, and you unlock that by playing the game, by achieving epic tasks in game. If you're really good with a plasma cannon, a bolter, then, you know, it's shown you can get like different types of armor, relic helmets, that type of stuff to show players, you know, you've achieved this process. That is what I want in Space Marine 2 as well. I don't want everything just to be purchasable. That would be one of the biggest fails that they could bring into this game. Now, we've actually just got something like this in a brand new 40k game called Dark Tide. They have an in-game DLC store where you can buy your armor and it makes you look fantastic. The stuff in there is really nice. I had an Ogrin and there's like some Bulgrin armor in there, which makes it look absolutely superb. But one of the things I was really let down with that system is that the base game of Dark Tide is still having a lot of issues. There's a lot of crash issues, there's a lot of bug issues in there, and it seemed like the developers at one point, it looks like they've fixed it now and they're actually listening to community feedback, which again is fantastic, which is great. We're actually putting the DLC store issues above the actual base player game issues. When you start having content made like that, it's only going to affect the fandom in bad ways, and everyone is just going to start arguing amongst themselves. For me, I think Fat Shark developers have handled it properly. They said, okay, we've held our hands up, yep, we agree, and they've gone forward and they fixed the actual, you know, the proper problems in game, rather than just fixing like the DLC stuff in game where their income's coming from, because you can't have an income if no one's going to be playing your game, right? It's simple maths. Now, this leads us into the next part of the video, which is the Collector's Edition. Focus themselves announced this. You can now go and purchase the Collector's Edition for PC, PS5 and Xbox. Is it S or something like that? I don't know. There's so many bloody Xboxes out there. The confirmed price, if you're in the UK, is $229.99. So basically 230 quid if you want the Collector's Edition. In the background right now is the video they put out, which shows off all the content of that Collector's Edition. You get like a little Titus bust miniature where he's standing in a pool of blood, which is very world eater, I'm just gonna say. You get stuff like an art book, a steel book, and also a part of this is some day one DLC called Macragge's Chosen DLC. Now, a lot of people have been asking, what the hell is this DLC? And I can actually show you off right now. I've actually found that DLC. Now, again, as you can see in the background, this image shows what this DLC contains. It says, buy the Collector's Edition and get the Macragge's Chosen DLC. Right at the bottom in the black text, it says, includes the Ultramarine inspired skin set for the bolt gun. I would say that's a bolt rifle because this is Primaris. It's not Firstborn anymore. The chainsword and the Crux Terminatus pauldron. So this is what you get. You get a pauldron, you get a chainsword, and you get a bolt rifle skin for your character. Now, we don't know if this, again, is single player, or is this multiplayer, or maybe it's both. We don't know. This is the kind of information that we're hoping to get from the developers themselves. I would probably say you're going to be able to use this in both single player and multiplayer. The reason I say that, because if we watch the trailer again, I'll put the images in the background, sometimes there's different icons on Titus's shoulder. One time he has his lieutenant pauldron on, and the other time he has like a jump assault pauldron on. Sometimes he's wearing a helmet, and sometimes he doesn't even have his chains on his arm. This could be two separate characters in the single player game, or it's giving us single player customization to kit out Titus the way that we want him to be played. Anyway, that is enough waffling from me. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully, I've helped you out. If not, then let me know. I guess I've failed you, brother. But yeah, if you got any thoughts, feedback, anything like that, post it down below, and we can have a nice little talk down there, as we always do. See you now. Good night. And Titus is watching you. Wait, that sounded weird. Is he? I don't know. He may be watching you. Who knows? He could be Santa Claus. See ya.